Hello, I'm Eric Schumacher Rasmussen. I am the editor and VP of Streaming Media and the conference chair for our streaming media conferences, both online and in person. Thanks for joining us for another online event, Streaming Media West Connect. I'd rather be in Huntington Beach this week too, but this has been an amazing week of presentations, panels, and keynotes. And we've got another one coming up here talking about overtime. What's next for sports and esports streaming? Speaking of in-person, we are planning Streaming Media East for May of 2022, May 24th and 25th to be exact, in Boston. We'll be announcing more information about that event soon, including our call for speakers. So if you want to get in on the action as a speaker, on a panel, or a presenter, keep your eyes open for our call for speakers. We'll also be having one more virtual event between now and then. That's Streaming Media Connect February I guess it's in February. So we hope to see you then for that as well. Before we jump in, just a few housekeeping notes. If you have questions for the panel, please put them in the Q&A rather than the chat. The chat is open, but it's easier for our moderators to keep track of questions when they're in the Q&A. So please put them there. Also, we have live transcripts turned on. If you want to turn them off on your screen, go to the bottom of your Zoom window, click on live transcript, and then select disable subtitles, and that will turn them off. Finally, just for being here, you are registered to win an Amazon gift card. So the key, but there's a catch. You got to stick around. So hang around till the end, and we'll announce the winner of the Amazon gift card then. I'd like to also thank our diamond sponsors for this entire week: Limelight Networks, Conviva, Signient, and Video Guys, and we've got brief video messages from them right now.
VideoGuys.com is your source for live production gear, and we can help you start streaming today.
Reach a wider audience and tell your story using equipment like the RGB Link Mini family of 4 HDMI mixers, YOLO Live YOLO Box all-in-one touchscreen mixers, streamers, and recorders, and PTZ cameras and controllers, perfect for productions of all sizes without a large production crew.
Go to VideoGuys.com or call us at 800-323-2325 for help and start streaming today.
In this era of streaming video, we are pioneers, helping make your stories more vibrant. Conviva lives in billions of apps on devices all over the world, measuring trillions of data points each day to provide real-time insights for your content, ads, and social. Conviva. Every stream, every screen, every second.
And I am going to get out of your way and introduce our moderator, Jeff Jacobs, who knows a thing or two about sports and esports, and our panelists. Panelists, please turn your cameras on, join us, and Jeff, take it away.
Oh my God, you sure you don't have any more commercials to run? Jesus. It's like watching a Viacom network in the middle of the night. Thank you, Eric. Thank you very, very much. It's like watching TV Land at 2 in the morning. Thank you, Eric. Thank you very, very much, and welcome panelists, and welcome our guests tuning in today to this streaming media panel. This is going to be a lot of fun because usually on panels you get like 4 panelists who are all the same cookie cutter type of person, but on this panel, wow, we have four people who are all visionaries, entrepreneurs, roll up your sleeve and doers, next gen people. This is actually really cool. This is actually kind of panel you'd offer to pick up the tab just to go to lunch with these people. So I'm very, very excited, and my thanks in advance and welcome. Before we go around the horn, let's just introduce each other and ourselves. I'll start. My name is Jeff Jacobs. Welcome. Spent about 12 years at NBC Sports Olympics, 12 years at MTV and Viacom, a year and a half launching Venn network of esports over the past year, which is actually, as we speak, in the process of being sold. And I've run my own third-party production company with clients from Global Citizen to the NBA. So I'm pretty vast, but still my office is probably not as big as others who are on this panel. Let's go around the horn. I'll go in order of the leaderboard from online. Patrick Dees, welcome.
Hello, what's going on, guys? I'm Patrick Dees. I'm the co-founder and chief gaming officer of Fan Control Football. It's a fun title you get to give yourself when you found a company. But we are Fan Control Football is Madden in real life. It is actual hard-hitting football where fans have a lean forward experience and they choose everything about the teams. They design the uniforms, they choose the logos, all of those things. But then actually during the course of the games in the season, they participate in real-time drafts for their favorite team and then call the plays in real time and progress up leaderboards. So that's me in a nutshell.
Cool. Welcome, Patrick. Steffi?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. And it's a pleasure to be in this panel. My name is Steffi Bau. I'm originally from Italy. My life, it's a little bit different, I would say, meaning that I come from the sport world. I'm a former professional athlete. I used to be a motocross racer. And a couple of years ago, I founded and created Init Esport. We did in Esport, we are focused on special events using SIM.
Cool. Welcome, Steph. Jeremy? Greetings.
It's good to be here. I am the co-founder and CEO of SportsGrid. We are the first free digital first linear sports wagering network. You can find us on every major OTT platform and most connected TV devices. In addition to that, we also have a audio network, which is on 30 terrestrial radio stations across the country, on digital with TuneIn and iHeart, and also channel 159 on Sirius XM.
Welcome, Jeremy. Matt Arden.
What's up, everybody? I'm Matt Arden. I'm the head of content and media for the NBA 2K League, which is the esports league of the NBA, full 5-on-5 basketball with players playing as themselves, not as NBA avatars from the game 2K. And that's what I do.
That's pretty good. We talked about the name of the title of this panel is the old Wade Gretzky quote of "skate where the puck is going, not where it's been." So just to break that barrier, just to check that off the list, let's just go around the horn again, starting with Patrick, and we won't always use this pattern, this order. And let's just talk about where's your puck going? I want to say where your puck is going, but some people work in companies where you're not allowed to say anything. So, and if that's the case, where do you think the puck is going of your industry? But anyway, starting with Patrick, where's your puck going?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think our puck is going in two different fronts, right? Additional lean forward experiences for fans, ways fans can be part of the action, control the narrative as they watch their real-time sports experience, and not just football, other sports. Our puck is going there. And then also the other piece would be NFTs. And I know we're going to talk a lot about the metaverse and the NFT world, but I think there's our puck is going with NFTs with real world utility, right? It's not some vague roadmap. It's like literally, we've got two teams, one owned by Steve Aoki and the other one by a group called Knights of Degen. And these teams, you purchase an NFT to be part of these teams. It's a smaller, obviously, fan base, but you get all kinds of real world utility, including, season tickets, special experience, gated access, community on Discord, and those types of things. So that's where our puck is going.
Steffi, where's your puck going?
I would say that my puck is going toward the way to bring more people into esport. We really do try to do special events. So with that, we really wanted to bring the concept of esport to the masses. And the sim is very relatable, simulator with the car, because everybody's been in the car. So we are kind of like trying to stay in that line and continue to create a promote event that gives the opportunity to everybody to get involved with this industry. And of course, once you are in it, then there is the old metaverse and NFT that can be expanded and explained to the masses.
So in person, or what my people call IRL, is very, very important to you.
Yes, absolutely. But it's a combination, because now everybody can travel or feel comfortable to be outside in a group setting. So it is a combination on the two things. This is why it leads very well into the metaverse, like a digital world and the in real life world.
Yep. It's funny. Hybrid seems to be one of the new buzzwords again from years ago. People use the word hybrid again. But okay, that's cool, Steffi, and thank you. And by the way, slowly but surely, we're getting there. Jeremy, where's your puck?
So our puck is twofold. One, digital has been a white space for sports for a very long time. And that's why we went out and we did a land grab on all of the OTT platforms and connected devices. We think that that is a very important area as cord cutting continues. Now we're actually seeing an interesting trend, which is also where our puck is going, towards localizing in local markets with ATSC 3.0. We launched in 9 local markets this year on September 1st with Nexstar, and we're really excited about ATSC 3.0 and Next Gen TV. It's something that's going to be a major boom for the television industry, particularly now that we're seeing traditional antennas grow at 40% year over year.
Thank you, Jeremy. I saw the Nexstar press release around, I don't know, let's pretend 5 months ago. And it's and that whole deal and what you just described is what I would call a game changer. It's industry game changer, it's network game changer, it's content, it's reaching fans game changer. So let's talk about game changers for a second. Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. We didn't get to Matt.
That's okay. I have nothing to say. It's all right.
Matt, you know what? Forgive me. I went out of order. But Matt, real fast, because that was a good setup too. I wasted it. But Matt, your puck.
Well, I don't want to take up too much time from your transition, so I can. Look, I'll be honest. I think our puck is going to the mainstream, right? Like I think esports is going to become, and what everyone on this panel is doing is becoming part of the mainstream.
Yeah.
Which will bring us eventually to the inflection point of virtual and in-person experiences. At the same time, bolstered by full interaction and engagement from audiences, right? I think that's where we're all headed.
Yeah, well said.
Oh, totally. So Jeremy, back to you. Thank you, Matt. Back to you, Jeremy. We're talking about game changing and that transition, and all the game changes. So let's just talk about real fast, because I don't want to spend time on the past year and a half, but whether you like it or not, it really did accelerate alternate production workflows and what I would call game changers. Just real fast. It's amazingly fun because we all love this business. It's so much fun when you see a game changer, without doing too many name drops. Live View was a game changer. I saw Live View in Tel Aviv 8 years ago before I came to the States. Live View was a game changer. There are things that, OTT was a game changer. And as Jeremy speaks about moving in and speaking with broadcast at the same time, it's a bit of an alternate production game changer. Let's talk about game changers, not just what COVID enabled us to do, because as far as I'm concerned, and then please, we've got to go around the horn for this. It's not that COVID gave us new production workflows. We knew they were out there already. We knew we were out there. Hell, I produced Summer League 2 years ago. We did an all cell phone game. If you Google it, it was like a big deal at the time. Came in handy 6 months later. But it's not that COVID gave us this stuff. It's that we had it. Just people weren't using all these methods and taking advantage of it yet. I'll do this in 30 seconds real fast. When I was at MTV Viacom, I was part of the force that really wanted to go from tape to digital, and Viacom was one of the last. But it's okay. It's a big ship to turn. And we kept going over to all these, especially third-party production companies who were producing award shows for us. And we were saying, we got to go digital, file-based. And people weren't really into it. Then you may recall, by now it's probably 12 years ago, there was a tsunami in Japan, and everybody got memos saying there won't be HD stock available. All of a sudden, HD stock on eBay was expensive. And then we went back to the productions and we're like, hey, listen, guys, there's no stock. So you've got to go file-based. It's funny how nature or matters at hand or force majeure get us to accelerate. Moving on, before this turns into a TED Talk, let's talk about real briefly, starting with Matt and going backwards in order. Let's talk about briefly, like this past year, what game changes have you adopted that are here to stay? Again, this isn't about COVID as much as accelerated game changers and alternate production workflows to enable what you've got to get done for your business. Matt?
Yeah, I mean, look, Remy, remote hybrid productions, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we knew we were headed there anyway. And to your point, the pandemic just accelerated that workflow. But the ability to keep 70% of our production team at home or in their home facilities or home offices and still produce worldwide events is an absolute game changer. I mean, from a cost perspective, from a bodies perspective, from a logistics perspective. So we're doubling down on the whole idea of a RIMI remote hybrid production and really being able to move in multiple places at multiple times because we can plug in anywhere.
For sure, for sure. Jeremy, you guys did similar things with SportsGrid. You had to stay on the air 24 hours a day anyway. Tell us about any game changes you took advantage of that are here to stay.
So interestingly enough, we were very prepared for the pandemic. It took us only 36 hours to go fully remote. And like Matt, we believe that remote production is here to stay. The game changer for us was really in some of the technologies that we're actually using in partnership with Nexstar, where right now we have 9 separate feeds, and we're going to be able to send different feeds to different markets. Next year, we're forecasting over 40 broadcast feeds, and that might actually go as high as 50. And that all stems from some of this new production workflow where we can have people filming at different times from different locations. And that's really a big game changer for us. And it's going to be a big game changer for our sports audience.
That's amazing. What about the volume there is crazy? That sounds like, if you don't mind me asking, but people are interested, is that doubling down on your existing content or also growth for content? Maybe it's new channels, maybe it's new genres, maybe it's new avenues.
It's a little bit of both. We're going to be producing more content for local markets, certainly. But we do have an interest in adjacent verticals. We're interested in esports. We're interested in crypto. Anything that has a very large overlap with our audience, we think will layer in very well. So there's going to be a combination of both.
Cool. Steffi, any game changes this past year? Tell us a little bit about what you've been producing, what you've been doing, your content, especially with social, and what you've adapted this year out of necessity or by taking advantage.
Well, one thing that is interesting is that our company was born during the pandemic. So therefore, we took this catalyst that happened in the world and we turned that into an opportunity. And one of the things that is incredibly good that we have noticed is the fact that now, because people are at home and they wanted to do things, now you have the power of the people. They wanted to become a streamer. So with this sport, now the very cool thing, and that's why we got involved with, is that we can use people and work with people and collaborate with people to deliver content that is in line with what they wanted to receive. You need to remember that we live in an era, where everybody wants instant gratification, and esport and online streaming is able to do that. So we really capitalize on that. So our company was born during this time, and we listened to what people wanted to do, and also the pain that they were going through to not be able to do other things, and we just take advantage of it and we position ourselves in that. So for us, the game changer was actually taking an opportunity from something bad that happened.
Yeah, it's funny how you allude to the fact that it's not just technology and content production, it's also peace of mind the past 2 years, but that's another panel. Stephanie, tell us a little bit about your company. Where does most of your content live? Is it on your own platforms, or do you take advantage of other streaming platforms?
Well, we do, of course, stream on Twitch, because in the esport world, the Twitch is one of the places where everybody tends to go to. We do have a production company that does the production part of it. But this is the other thing, as going online of what I was just saying, that we use the power of the public where they are becoming our streamer. So because we have the platform, they will provide us their stream, and we give the opportunity for them to shine and be recognized, into this new digital world. In the other side, because we are involved in real life activity, with that, we'll do our own production, our own content. And as I mentioned earlier, it's all based on sim racing. And we really put a lot of attention also on DEI, because diversity, equity, and inclusion is very important. And we read with authenticity. And we just try to walk the talk.
Well, so far, so good, it looks like. So far, so good, Steffi. Thank you. And Patrick, yours too was a company or sport or set of content born in trying times. I'm also wondering if your game changes that you used to produce were at a necessity, or you wanted to do it anyway and you took advantage of the timing.
Yeah, the former actually. You know, the game changer was that the COVID, like I think, caused an accelerant from like a acceptance of this model. So we've always been really, you know, myopically focused on the digital fans, right? We're not like a traditional sports league. It's not putting butts in seats and selling those butts, beers, and hot dogs, right? It's always been that digital fan. We've always had a shared services model where all the teams play in one location and allows us to really invest in kind of a bleeding edge technological venue. And then when, you know, with the advent of COVID, it was like the world was ready for it. I mean, honestly, what we had to do is make some tweaks around kind of the COVID bubble and making sure players and, you know, the production crew were safe. But if anything, it just accelerated it seemed to be the perfect time to launch a league, as much as anything was perfect during the course of a global pandemic.
But was there any technology, or just to finish with this, is there any technology or workflows that you guys had to down in Atlanta that had to really implement to get your content produced? I'm not talking about physical medical stuff, but were there, I don't know, were there coaches or guests you wanted to get in that you couldn't, so you had to utilize vMix or something silly like that, or not silly as much as commonplace, or it just seemed like you had everything you needed on site, and that added to just tremendous broadcasts and just a lot of fun viewing.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's, I mean, just what you said. I mean, we had banked on having, we've got a lot of, you know, celebrity owners and you know, advisors from Joe Montana to Marshawn Lynch and Quavo and all those folks. And we'd had anticipated kind of building, you know, a lot of events around their live participation, but no, it was just, you know, having them remote in, but.
Yep, I get it. Let's transition. Speaking of Patrick, and Patrick, maybe you could start us off with this.
Sure.
The future is always going to be more and more fan engagement and connecting the linear and the digital, for all the obvious reasons, from sponsorships to viewerships to platforms, etc. I just produced a global citizen concert, like 6 continents and whatever, 24 hours live stream, 6 continents and some other stuff. It was amazing. You could Google it if you really care. I can't imagine. But what we did try, we worked with Tagboard. I had used them years ago in their first generation at a music festival, I think, in an effort to share what people were tweeting and Instaring and platforming, in an effort to just share it all and curate it, if you will, and share it and pass it along and invigorate more social. We did bring in Tagboard for the day or two, and it worked out very, very well. If nothing else, it connected, again, the linear, and of course it was a live stream, the linear and the fanage and the digital together. We just had it, frankly, one directional, where many of you are two directional, which I think is part of the golden gooses. Patrick, can you talk about what you've done with fan engagement, because I think it's cutting edge, but also, again, what's in the future? What's your wish list? Like, what's your wish list, so that if a technology person is online right now watching, they're like, you know what? I might be able to build that for them.
First of all, you're like the most humble guy I've ever met. You're the only person I know that goes just hand waving, like, oh, 6 continents, no big deal, yada, yada. It's very, I always appreciate He's just like, no big deal. So, you know, what our wish list is, I think so as it worked in our first season, fans would align themselves with one team, and then they would literally be, you know, part of that front office, you know, drafting players, calling plays, those types of things. Where we're going in season 2 would be giving fans an opportunity to have a lean forward experience when their team's not playing, right? So we have a currency, it's called Fan IQ, right? It's like, you know, XP in any other video game. And the more you engage with the ecosystem, the more you call plays, and the better you are at calling plays, the more Fan IQ you level up, and the more weight your vote carries. So in season 2, you know, we'll have a lean forward experience for fans where their team's not playing, but they want to watch the other games, right? Historically, they would watch those games to understand player personnel so they could get better at drafting, but we want to reward them for that. So we'll have a play prediction engine in season 2, where you can kind of guess what play is going to be called next. So you kind of get better at understanding the playbook and those types of things. And then to deepen fan engagement, I'm building a clan system. We're calling it squads. So fans can, you know, like-minded groups of fans that can squad up, and then they get a chance to communicate, collaborate in real time during the course of, like, what should we run here? Should we pass here? Don't draft that idiot. What are we doing? Those types of things. And then have increased voting power for that. So those are the couple of the big beats that we're looking at to increase engagement in season 2.
You know, in terms of where the puck is going, I'll put Jeremy on the spot, and anyone else can jump in. Patrick, what you just described is really taking good old-fashioned football, but let's talk about any sport in general, and you're really putting the puck forward. You're really going future. It's really tremendous. Jeremy, just because you're a nice young man, do you think any of the other sports are going to go and steal Patrick's stuff? Like, will the NFL adopt some of these strategies the way the NFL took Skycam from XFL? I don't know. But just in terms of conversation, Jeremy, and you're close with the NFL probably, do you think this stuff will just trickle down, and is that where the puck is going? More fan engagement, more interaction?
Absolutely. And this is something that's just natural in the technology world. You always see a lot of people copying elements of other leagues and things like that work really well. So I would be shocked if it wasn't. And while we're on the topic again, to keep harping on next gen TV, it really is going to be a game changer in terms of interaction. What it basically does is it combines broadcast and it combines broadband. So it's going to open up a world of commerce. It's going to open up a world of interactivity. And that's something that we're really excited about and focused on at SportsGrid. And it's how to actually engage with the local fan. Right now, broadcast, it's one loud megaphone. This new type of technology is actually going to allow us to hone in on an individual fan and tailor an experience that is personal to you. And that's something that's really exciting. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if we saw, bigger leagues and things like that, really take a look at what's going on in some of the bleeding edge technologies and try to port that and make it work in their own environments.
No question. And Patrick, you also touched upon, and I'm not picking on Patrick, you also touched upon the interaction, being able to call plays and all that. So Steffi, earlier you had brought up the fact that how experiential is so important to you. And by the way, I also know it's incredibly important to the sponsors. It's so funny how whenever you speak to sponsors, yes, they want eyeballs. Yes, they want clicks. Yes, they want everything. But they also want sampling on site. It's so funny. It's so funny how they really do. It's so part of all this. They really want to be able to do a coupon, or in modern day, click a picture of a code on the screen, a QR code on the screen, and go to Wendy's and get a Frosty shake for $1. It's really crazy how they're still in the experiential mode. But Steffi, you could relate probably to what Patrick was talking about, interacting with people on site as well.
Yes, it's for sure incredibly important because those are your customer, right? So you need to be able to make them feel part of the show. So there is tons of technology right there that can be applied for that way, like to get people to feel part of the show. But this is something that we just came across recently that I want to put it out to the audience, which we have not found yet. So from the sponsorship side of things, like Jeff, you were saying, usually a sponsor started to be part of a league or an event and whatnot, and they expect analytics back. But what they expect how their brand has performed by being part of your event, right? What is not out there, and with my team, we were trying to look, is like, if you're asking the fan to engage, how can we track the fan way of engaging? What I mean by that is like, we do have a statistic and analytic of how, this logo is seen, but we don't have a way to see yet, at least we don't know, my company doesn't know, to see if a person from the public does engagement for you. How do we track that? Like you can do it from, hashtag, but then you be tracking the hashtag, but you don't track what this particular person is doing. So I think to me that's really important, because if we continue to create this two-way street between an event in a league and whatever you're creating and the public, we would like to know more what the public is actually doing for you, and therefore giving the power to the people, to the public, to be able to be part of something. So just toss it out there. Maybe you guys already have the answer. We didn't come across yet, but yeah.
Matt Arden is grinning. He must have the answer. Matt, what do you think about all this stuff? And also take us through if there are experiential plans and in-person IRL plans for NBA 2K, if you can.
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to this, particularly with esports, and I think we're all facing it with our audience, is that people can't forget, and brands can't forget, and we have to educate brands on this, that the esports communities grew out of grassroots efforts. So this isn't mainstream television watching. This is a much different audience that engages much differently. And so we've had a lot of really fruitful conversations with our sponsors about moving from transactional to experiential and emotional, even if you can't get experiential, obviously, with COVID. We want to create emotional bonds. And I think what we've had great success with our partners is talking about how brands can bring things to life for our audiences that give value to the audience, that provide value to the experience. And that's a longer conversation than sampling, right? That's not walking into an arena and being like, oh, there's a Coke in front of me, but oh, there's also a free Pepsi I can try. Great, I guess I'll try Pepsi. It's different than that. It's our audiences, in particular, esports audiences or digital native first audiences, which I'm sure Patrick is finding too, is that they want to make sure that the brands engaging are providing value to their experience and supporting the thing that they know is looking for funding, is looking for support, needs long tail support. Mm-hmm. And they are willing to double down on that regard to say, hey, look, for us, like AT&T is a huge sponsor of the 2K League. Man, they keep the 2K League running. They support the 2K League. They help them make content during COVID. They provided services so we could do our documentary series. It wasn't about throwing AT&T's logo, on a piece of content. AT&T literally became co-executive producers of our long form YouTube series Locked In because we needed connectivity. We needed cell phones to capture video. We couldn't send crews on the road, and they jumped in. They were like, let's be EPs together. That kind of stuff, I think, as we go forward, is going to have so much more value to brand, to league or product, and more importantly, to the fans. They will support that brand long term if the brand supports them long term.
So true.
That's so good, and it's so interesting how technology is becoming more of our partners, not our vendors. That's been going on for some time. So again, some out of necessity, some out of opportunity. Anyone else on this? Anyone else? Hey, Patrick.
I've got some wish list items.
Go.
I've got a good one, because what I hear from a lot of people on this panel is really data, right? We want more rich data. And that's something that we talk about at SportsGrid a lot. We are conscious of privacy, but we are aware that we're on smart TVs, we're on OTT platforms, and whether you like it or not, this might be very frightening for some people. Your TV is collecting more data on you than your phone. So I guess I do have a question to almost pose back to some of our other panelists is, how are you capturing this type of data? Obviously we're working with certain DMP providers to see, what we can actually collect and use in a personalization setting. Are you guys thinking about this in that way? Because to an extent, you are all broadcasting over some OTT platform or something that is being transmitted over an OTT platform to a connected TV.
Yes.
It's a great topic. It's a great question. Remember 4 years ago when data was a thing? Remember 10 years ago when multi-platform was the key word? But even 4 years ago, data was the thing. Steffi, Patrick, are you doing anything with data? Are you grabbing it? Are you what I think Jeremy's doing, and I don't want to say too much because I don't really know. It sounds like Jeremy sometimes takes data, or I should say SportsGrid takes data and makes more content.
Well, we try to take data and then personalize it back to you. And it's not necessarily in the form of content. It could be in the form of our LRAP, for example. So if we know that you are a big Giants fan, we can provide you with Giants news and odds, for example, in a way that's never been done before, because traditionally just a general LRAP, you see scores growing across, you see what's coming up next on the broadcast, and that's going out nationally. It's not tailored specifically to you, the consumer.
Right. Anyone have anything on this? Anyone?
Yeah, I wanted to just add quickly that, of course, the data is incredibly important. And for us, in the way that we collect it, we use that to be able to grow the community. Our word is community here. So, for us, it's important to receive information from the people that are part of this. So therefore, we can analyze it and continue in the same feeling that the community wants to receive our content. So therefore, they continue to grow in that way. And when it's presented in that way, again, we always look at the end user. So, like in this case, in our audience, and we listen, and we want to see what they want. So the data helps us to give back to them what they're craving and what they want.
So that's a good transition, Steffi. Thank you. Into what you brought up earlier today or yesterday on email, utilizing the word metaverse. What I call social and the kids and fandom. Remember when fandom was a word? This is going very quickly. But anyway, of fandom and the whole thing. Steffi, talk to us about metaverse and where you think. And you're based in Europe, right, Steffi?
No, I'm based in California.
Oh, forgive me.
It's okay. I'm Italian, so you have my accent, but I am actually in the US.
Right. No judgments. No, I was just looking at everybody's email addresses and stuff. Also, your background. It looks like you're in the Alps or something. Anyway, but Steffi, I also do know that you have your finger on the European pulse just through motocross and through sports and stuff.
Right.
So, Steph, talk to us about metaverse. Where do you see that going? And also, it's always good to get an athlete's perspective, an athlete or former athlete's perspective. It's always really novel.
So it's a very big conversation, but I'm going to try to be very, very succinct about it. So in relation to what we do, so using sim racing to bring more people into esport, we see that motorsport as a whole is a very expensive sport. So to be able to get involved from the get-go, you have to invest quite a bit of money between buying the go-kart and the tires and the helmets, so on and so forth. The digital world bring that barrier way down, because to be able to be part of the sport now, the only thing you need is a console or a PC and a game. So the difference in investment is huge. With that concept, now we are able to open up the sport, like motorsport in general, to a diverse group of people, and therefore help the sport change in better. The metaverse, it's an addition to that, because now you can drive a car in the metaverse, once we get there, right? But drive a car in the metaverse, participate in show in the metaverse, go watch an event in metaverse, which in real life, you might not be able to do it because it's expensive. So to bring it back, what metaverse is for me, it's another opportunity to create new things or reinvent things that are already here and do it in a better way and make it more inclusive for everybody.
Can you give some real practical terms of what you hope to be doing in the next year or two?
Yeah, well, if the metaverse is going to evolve in the way that we are hoping, and for me, it's not going to be just Facebook doing it. What I wish is going to become just an internet where everybody can participate in it. So for me, what I would like to see in a few years, not next year, is maybe too early, but in a few years from now, it is to really bring sports into the metaverse and give the opportunity to people to play in an environment that feels like in some way a real world, and then continue to find a connection and bring people from the digital world into the real world and the other way around.
And vice versa. And Matt Arden at the NBA, and even forget about NBA, even in just an organized esports tournament play, do you see this as, the future? Is this an obvious road ahead?
I see it a version of the future. Yeah. I don't think we're not out here trying to supplant traditional sports. I think we're just an addition to the world, right? We're another fun thing to do. And then, to Steffi's point, imagine the way we can expand someone's hoop dreams, right? You turn an ankle or you don't quite make it to the pros, your NBA dream still lives. You can be an NBA athlete in this metaverse sort of setting. And as it relates, Steffi, I think, brought up the most important point relative to diversity and inclusion is we've had 3 women play in our league already to date, 4 years in, which is not enough, by the way, but we can have a league that has men and women playing on the same platform, leveling the playing field truly and having this sort of global sport. We have players from other countries, we have men, women, there's no limitation there's no barrier to entry to continue your NBA dream, thanks to this sort of the maturation of what we're now calling the metaverse. And so we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. The ability to sort of really invest in this over the next few years and figure out where this really goes relative to engagement and enrichment and growth is immeasurable.
Matt, I love that you brought that up. Thank you so much. It's so true. It's so true. As a guy who's always been an inclusion guy, and it's not just physical, and it's not just geo, but it's also like social economic classes are eliminated, and it's one of my favorite parts of esports. Yeah. How kids or grown-ups from any zip code could engage and participate pretty much equally. It's like my favorite part of esports.
Absolutely. And we can build programs to make that easier too. And we can build better allies through this process as well.
Oh, so much. It's really something really special, a part of the community. It really is. Patrick, your thoughts?
Oh. Yeah, first of all, I just want an NFT of Steffi's poncho, because I think when I exist in the metaverse, I want to rock that thing. It's so good. Yeah, I think I would echo a lot of what was said. I think we're excited about kind of game mechanics inside the metaverse and with NFTs. So we're launching an NFT called the Ballers Collective late November, where you're able to again be part of one of these teams like Steve Aoki's team. But then in season 3.0 and beyond, you'll be able to buy NFTs that you are able to imbue your baller, your avatar, with certain traits. So enhanced voting power, based on, you can buy gloves that give you, special receiving bonuses and those types of things. So we're really excited to develop mechanics around this, and some play to earn stuff has been the buzzword of late. But the idea that just through participation, these things you can earn, to your point, lowering the bar of entry. So it's what we're looking at in the next little bit.
So Jeremy, help me maybe, if you can, bring gaming or betting into this, even just briefly. We're talking about esports, we're talking about the future, we're talking about where the puck is going, but you can't watch anything on TV, and it's been like this for a while. We've all known this is coming, without Leon talking about the Caesars betting app, or any of this going, Shaq and the whole bishpacha, and everybody's going gaming. You call it betting, your commissioner calls it gaming, whatever you want, it's all good. I guess it's the ultimate, and I really hope we all know what we're doing, by the way, but I guess it's the ultimate, gaming betting, let's call it gaming today. Gaming is like the ultimate fan engagement tool. If I'm not mistaken, like the SportsGrids of the world, the betting networks, and it seems like there's growing, they're kind of like one directional, but I assume one day they'll be bi-directional. I guess that's where the puck is going. They're going to be two directions, I assume, and you don't have to say anything now. And but gaming betting, I guess, is the ultimate fan engagement, two-way eventually. Jeremy, can you take us through that? Like, where's that going?
Look, it's absolutely going to move towards a two-way street. Gaming has always been important to sports. We know that if you place a wager, you are far more likely to watch a game. Honestly, FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, every sportsbook, you name it, it actually is becoming the true second screen to an actual sports broadcast. In many cases, it becomes the first screen, and that, I think, is really an opportunity for sportsbooks to kind of take a step forward in that two-way process. And why I say that is live television is on a delay. And not only is it on a delay, then you also have latency. If you're on satellite, you're going to get the stream later than somebody that is much closer to the actual, distribution hub that is disseminating on cable. And if you're watching a game or just live odds on your phone, for example, you're going to know it's happening ahead of what you're seeing, because you're going to see the odds change in real time. And it's even worse in an event like the Super Bowl that's on a 30-second delay. So I think that there is a real opportunity for sportsbooks to kind of take that step forward, particularly in partnerships with the leagues that I think you will see happen over the next 6 to 12 months, where you start to get more live rights and things like that inside of there. And there are low latency solutions that are coming online that are really going to, take a step forward. And I'd love to see more content get involved, not just betting content, generic sports content. And I think you're going to start to see actual commerce happen in these apps. These apps are machines. If you actually think about it, the amount of installations that they have, probably rivals that of Facebook and Snapchat across the country. It's truly remarkable the scale that these companies have.
I love the way you put that, Jeremy. And I've thought about it, but I never put it to words. The fact that betting and betting platforms are likely to become the new second screen experience. Or I should put it a different way, replace the traditional platforms as the second screen experience. That's a little bit
Absolutely.
amazing. That's a little amazing. So whereas 5 years ago, we were all very proud of ourselves watching the Super Bowl on the big flat screen, but then having a second screen where maybe I touch camera 5 and I can watch just quarterback ISO or stuff like that, or stat stuff as a second screen. And that's all great stuff, great stuff. It really was good for the whole industry and all the viewers. But if betting, and by the way, this is so logical, if betting becomes the second, replaces traditional platforms as the second screen, oh my God, the limits are endless. And to your point, Jeremy, what you just said, not just talking heads and numbers, but analytics and data, back to data. Oh my God, I've worked with certain leagues with data analytics, companies like Noah that will count baskets and put it on a graphic of where it is on the court. Could you imagine if they're showing certain teams of how they're shooting, where they're shooting, why they're shooting, and how at home you're using that second screen of betting information and analytics and data, and then you translate that into where you want to put your next bet of what's on the. That's huge. That's also very exciting. Anyone have any thoughts about that? Because that's a whole other panel.
Sorry to take you off topic.
No, that's amazing.
No, yeah.
Dude, we're talking about where's the puck going. And we're going to break in just a second. We're going to go to some questions that people have been putting into the question chat. But that's very, very exciting. I guess it's exciting. If you're pro gaming and gambling and betting, I guess it's very exciting.
Well, but the good news is if you're not, you can still enjoy the single screen experience. You can still participate in other ways. I think what we're doing is we're adding opportunity for extension, for engagement, and it's an opt-in opportunity, right? It's not a mandate. So I think everything we can add on to this, as long as it adds to the experience and it's not tearing the sport down, I think they're good things.
For sure. It should be added value. It should be added value. If you don't like it, don't watch. I don't know.
It's a good rule for all things. It's just a good rule across the board.
Now that was like the Howard Stern mantra 25 years ago.
That's right.
If you don't like it, don't watch. Everybody was complaining about Howard Stern. This is before Patrick was born. Okay, so moving forward, let's read some questions here because we're already. Oh wow, we're 15 minutes. I told you this would be a good panel. I'm going to read off some. I don't know how to answer live, but I'm just going to read this. Anonymous attendee. Given the need, can you guys see this? Can you see the questions? Okay, let's look at anonymous attendee. Given the illusion, what things do you see developing now in sports esports streaming? Be next big things. Broadcast of video. I think we may have touched upon that, but does anyone have anything to say? He's ahead of the future, taking everyone along with him. I think.
Look, I could just quickly. Latency is an issue, and there are a lot of companies that are working to solve it. It's something that impacts every single broadcaster, whether it's Twitch, whether you're, VOD, whether you're, on an OTT platform. It varies by platform, and there will be real solutions that come that deliver near real-time experiences.
I think one of the next big things, we talked about that traditional second screen experience and third screen experience. Actually, through platforms like Twitch and the extension program there, right? Like I think I see a future where there aren't second and third screens, that it all is one interactive screen, right? You're gaming and betting up here, and you're calling plays down here, and you've got your broadcast. It's all real-time interactive. And I think that's going to continue. Those interactive overlays, I think, are going to continue to be kind of more influential as we continue here.
For sure. Indra Klein asks, Given that so much data is being collected, any concerns about data protection, privacy? Well, it's been especially with the monetization of such that may be based on bias, especially with gaming. Any thoughts on that?
If
Oh,
we're,
that's a hard one.
yeah, I mean, look, obviously privacy and data collection is always a sensitive issue. If we're talking about gaming in the gambling sense, you're obviously getting into a very regulated area that operators take extremely seriously. And it's something that every company should take seriously to be quite honest with you.
Glenn McCready asks, where's the puck going? Niche sports and these innovations. Hey, Patrick, is there betting on FCF yet?
There wasn't in season 1. I think we are exploring a lot of different ways where we can incorporate betting. I also think that's where the puck's going. I also personally just get really excited about peer-to-peer betting, right? The idea of like setting up a bet with a friend and betting that way. I think that's something that's fun, but there will be in 2.0.
Wait a second. Is there peer-to-peer betting right now?
So there
organized peer-to-peer betting.
There are a few platforms that are registering on a state-by-state basis. They're called exchanges, and that exists in Europe, and it's a model that has to be regulated here. There are things such as bar bets, for example, where you and I can legally just make a bet as long as nobody's taking a rake, for example. There have been a few platforms that have gone down that route. But look, at the end of the day, when you start getting into things that are becoming legalized and regulated, it becomes a lot more difficult as a small operator to actually go through the motions, because at the end of the day, you're a small fish in a big pond. But to kind of answer that question, look, niche sports, they're a big deal from a broadcast perspective. SportsGrid has a big interest in tertiary rights. And tertiary rights that have a big betting audience. I mean, we know that ping pong, for example, has a massive betting audience. And that was one interesting human behavior that came out of the pandemic, is that billions upon billions of dollars in the United States were bet on ping pong, for example. But in the United States, that is considered a niche sport, while it might not be in another country. And you're starting to see that. I mean, you're starting to see ESPN, for example, air cornhole. I never thought that would happen in my lifetime. So I think that niche sports are really starting to have their day, particularly because broadcast rights for the big four in the United States are locked up on large cable networks for the next decade. And the tertiary rights are up for grabs, and there are a lot of places to put them in a digital landscape.
Well, Jeremy, I think you nailed it on the head. I mean, we were the lead-in to cornhole on ESPN2 last summer.
Amazing.
So, look, I think two things, right? That coupled with globalization, the shrinking of the world, what we think is a niche sport isn't a niche sport somewhere else. So, Jeremy, you're exactly right about that. I think there's going to be plenty of room for niche sports because we've got more platforms, more opportunities to broadcast, and I think smaller, more potent audiences will soon, we all know it in this room, right? But I think on the advertiser side, we'll all start to recognize that scale doesn't necessarily mean success, and that small, niche, powerful, dedicated audiences can move dollars just as well, if not better.
Right. Wait, we'd be remiss if we didn't get Steffi's thought about niche sports and gaming, because Steffi, of course, being the Motocross champ.
Yeah, I do believe what we're just saying and share with the public that the world is moving toward the community aspect. So like a sport that is niche, it could be way more powerful for an advertising sponsor than just going for a sport that is super scalable. Because why this? Because the people that are in this community, they're following that sport, they are authentic. So therefore you can really, really talk to them in an authentic way, and therefore deliver to them what they really want. So niche sport, to me, it's incredibly important, and motorsport in a way is sort of a niche sport if you compare it, like to the NFL, NBA, and whatever. But I do believe the other sport, as we said, that they might be considered niche and they might be big somewhere else. It's just like important, just the power of the community. I always go back to that, and it's a good way to really evaluate what's going on with that niche sport, and therefore deliver what the audience needs and wants.
So much. I always look at this niche sports as the growth in sports television or sports content. That's the growth. That's where the CBS Sports Net, that's where the NBC Sports Net, or whatever. That's where the ESPN 3, 4 is going. The niche sports is really the growth. It's really the R&D, if you will. So there's no question that's happening. Also, the ping pong gambling conversation would be a lot more fun if we were in a bar while holding beers. That would be a lot more fun.
It is my fun fact for the rest of the day. I'm going to be quoting that. Everybody I meet was like, "Did you know that billions of dollars?"
That's the first thing I'm Googling after this.
100%.
I'm guilty of having placed a small wager on ping pong during the pandemic.
That's amazing. I usually make notes of things for myself to Google afterwards. Ping pong gambling is probably one of them.
Amazing.
Okay, so thank you to you panelists and fine people. I appreciate it as the moderator, but really, I'm sure the viewers thank you for the hour of time you spent on this. I also thank Eric and the good people at Streaming Media. They always take good care of us in prep, or if we're not prepping enough, they look the other way. So they have patience, and we appreciate it. So in other words, help us help you. So thank you very much. And also, I have to throw this in because I'm a team player. I saw that Signiant sponsored this, or was a big sponsor. Again, that global citizen thing. We did that whole thing with Signiant and Media Shuttle. We would never have made the content transfer without Media Shuttle. So yeah, whatever. Thanks, guys. They're not watching, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, Eric, we pass it back to you. And again, everyone, nice to meet you. Good to see you, and thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Jeff Joel, Unico, our publisher, wanted me to point out that if you didn't like those pre-roll ads, you're free to sponsor the next one. He'll send the bill your way. Thanks so much. Great discussion. Thanks to our audience as well. Speaking of the audience, the winner of the Amazon gift card is not where I thought it was on my screen. It is Nikki Frangella. Nikki is the winner. So keep an eye out on your email next week for that. Oh, yes. And join us in about a half an hour for our last panel, talking about the big picture of OTT and the new normal, whatever that is. We'll see you then. Thanks again to our sponsors, Signiant, who just announced a big acquisition today, Conviva, Limelight, and Video Guys. We'll see you in a half hour. Thanks.
Thank you.
VideoGuys.com is your source for live production gear, and we can help you start streaming today.
Reach a wider audience and tell your story using equipment like the RGB Link Mini family of 4 HDMI mixers, YOLO Live YOLO Box all-in-one touchscreen mixers, streamers, and recorders, and PTZ cameras and controllers, perfect for productions of all sizes without a large production crew.
Go to VideoGuys.com or call us at 800-323-2325 for help and start streaming today.
In this era of streaming video, we are pioneers, helping make your stories more vibrant. Conviva lives in billions of apps on devices all over the world, measuring trillions of data points each day to provide real-time insights for your content, ads, and social. Conviva. Every stream, every screen, every second.